he got taller because he was standing in a box. You know, Jeremy asked me that the other day.
I have to see over this stuff.
I know you can't, like, oh, hey,
little guy.
All right, so awesome. So today we're gonna see, what you're gonna see today is we're gonna share some fun contests real quick, because you're probably already aware of them. We're also going to share the awesome deals that are on the table, and then hopefully just keep jamming on those quick tips all through here, and share your quick tips, give you guys credit for your awesome ideas.
Bring those tips.
And talk about why we like some of this stuff personally, and it'll all just kind of blend together for the next hour.
Awesome.
So let's do it real quick today.
Okay.
Breeze through the fun contest, starting with the tip one.
Okay, so what we're doing every single day, and that means you get all of the days of the sale to provide your tips. If you want to win all of the Doorbuster products that are on the table every single day, when we open the show and after, if you come back to like day 1, 4 days later, add your tips for the stuff on the table. So right now it's the tanks, it's the Orphek, it's the amino acids from both KZ and Brightwell. But give us your tips if you've used it before, or if you've learned tips but maybe not have gotten it yet. Share your tips. We're going to highlight some today, and we're also going to pick winners from those tips on Cyber Monday.
Yeah, so you want to win everything on the table, go ahead and share your tips with us, and you can do it any day again, all the way through. Also, we're going to give away 10, I found the actual number.
It's 10.
10.
Yeah. 10
trips for 2 to Reef-A-Palooza. Thank you guys at Worldwide Corals for helping out. So
awesome.
Basically you're going to get like a travel voucher for $600 from us. They're going to give you a hotel for the show, as well as tickets. And we were debating whether or not they were diamond tickets or not, but I'm going to make them.
Should be diamond tickets.
I'll shell out it on my own wallet if
early
that's the
access.
case. Yeah, so diamond tickets means you get to go in there early. So all you got to do for that one is be an active preferred reefer. So be preferred reefer. There's sites, I think, links all over the site. You get points, you get all kinds of stuff. So header, footer, find that. And you have to be active, meaning you bought something in the last 30 days.
Yes.
Or you have something in your cart, right?
That's easy.
So like, dude, it's free.
Go fill stuff up.
It's silly not to do it. And then in the same, guys, we're giving away $10,000 worth of orders during the sale. So we got the envelopes here.
We're at like 3,000 so far. So almost $1,000 a day we're giving away in your orders in the last 30 days. Or if you got stuff in your shopping cart, and fill it up to $500, please, because we're refunding up to $500 on these orders and on the shopping carts. And I think I've picked a whole bunch of shopping carts already, as well as people who've placed orders.
So I'm going to give a little hint first time.
Okay, right? So this one is for the Reef-A-Palooza. There's
3 winners for the Reef-A-Palooza already,
one
a day, right?
Yeah.
All right, so hint.
One of the reefers.
Okay, so if your last name starts with a C.
Oh my gosh, you're going to Reef-A-Palooza.
You could have won. You could have won. If your last name starts with a G.
You could have won.
You could have won. If your last name starts with, another C. Oh, yeah, all right. Well, C is a lucky one today, or G.
Yeah.
You could be going, we got 7 more to pick from.
Yeah.
Going through.
And we're going to announce everybody on Cyber Monday. So Cyber Monday is just going to be an episode of giving stuff away. We're going to announce all the cart and shopping cart and order refunds. We're going to announce the winners of the Reef-A-Palooza. We're going to announce all the winners for the tips every single day on the table worth of gear. It's all happening Monday, Cyber
All these
Monday.
orders are already free. We just don't know it yet. So this is going to be a fat wad by Monday. Right? We got some other surprise stuff I was just talking to Jeff about this morning to do that too. So yeah, place your orders in and you could be one of them, or pulling them every day.
Solid.
All right, so tips. You know what? The first thing before we get into all your guys' tips is I wanted to really hit on one of the cooler things, which is the before and after of the Brightwell aminos.
Oh yeah, this happened weeks ago when Jeremy was here for the BRS 360 Live. We challenged some of our Ask BRS TV Facebook group users to try out CoralAminos from Brightwell and give us some befores and afters after several weeks, and some of those results are in today.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share a couple of them with you guys today. There's like a whole little community that are using them. And I think it's really cool to get this stuff out into the universe.
Yeah.
And so I want to share, like, some of you may not have watched it actually. So we had like a mini BRS Investigates where we took a experiment that was already running. I think it was the pH one.
Yeah, it was the high and low pH one, and the corals were looking pretty slim, pale, yeah.
So like, there's not a lot of fish in this thing. We weren't feeding it a whole lot. There's a lot of controls trying to like, you know, whatever. And so they were pretty pale, and then we're like, all right, let's just keep it exactly the way that it is. And the only thing we're going to do is start dosing the CoralAmino to the tank, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I asked Dave to pull up a couple of those from that episode, and so we'll go through 3 of them here. All right. So before
this was from our experiment
and after. And by the way, this isn't just these are 4 tanks, and each of them there's 6 examples of each one of these corals. Yeah. So like it was replicated, many times over. So you can, this is actually out for the live. You can see, so you can go watch that episode if you wanted to. But
I mean, look at that. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Darker colors, orange.
I mean, the other one's like bleached,
mouth.
right?
It
was
just
terrible.
Really white.
Yeah, so I mean, it was growing and alive, but like all of a sudden, man, we bring richer color into it, brighter fluorescence.
And the tissue on this chalice looks thicker too.
All right, so next one. All right, again,
Bird's
man,
nest.
like it's alive and it has some polyps and whatnot, but it's kind of just really pale. And all of a sudden, deep, rich color. The fluorescent tips pop out. It's the polyps are out. It's just super lush.
It looks like a healthy coral after.
Yes, that is what you want it to look like,
yeah, exactly.
Right? Okay, so what's the next one? All right, so this is another example. Like there was actually 24 of these corals out there, right?
Yeah.
And so we just took a bunch of different pictures and paired them up.
Some kind of stag I think we took from the BRS 160. It paled out and obvious darker,
all of them
nice,
look like
richer
that.
color.
And then boom, they get way richer. It's just a really awesome example. And so, like, before we get to the BRS TV community's results, like, let's just hit a little bit of why that might be, right?
Okay.
So, in that case, there's probably not a lot of food, right? Because we're just little pellets for just a couple of fish that were in there. So probably nitrogen and phosphorus deficiency, right? But just overall nutrition, and protein deficiency, right?
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, amino acids are the building blocks of protein, right? And so there's a whole lot of different things that build up to that, but these are free-form amino acids. You can dose it, and it's the most readily available thing to build protein in tissue, right?
Yeah.
So.
And WWC says that when they have, so Josh from WWC was talking to us, and we asked him, what do you do when you get like a coral that doesn't seem to be doing so well, might be pale like this, looks nutrient deficient? This is what they do, and they just set them, in a tank or set them in off to the side and dose Brightwell CoralAminos to them, and that's really kind of what sparked the whole thing. Is we should try that.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So there's tons of tips that come out of the team. They grow coral for a living, right? And they nurse back really awesome specimens, to be able to grow them up for you guys. And so, so then all of a sudden, lo and behold, the expert tells us that we go look at it, and we're like, oh, we're seeing the same thing. Specifically with stressed corals, right?
Yeah.
Like, wow, man, these things really pop back. So, so if you give any organism, the easiest bioavailable source of nutrition and protein, all of a sudden, man, don't be surprised when it shows results. So let's see, we pulled out, we were pretty quick here, so I just had to pull out like, 4 or 5 of them from this morning from the Ask BRS TV community. So let's see the first one. All right.
So Michael here. Oh wow, look at the color difference. This is the first time I'm seeing these.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a completely different coral. It looks like.
Yeah, dude. And so like you can see, not only is it like the color just popped out, like it's so much more rich, but also like it's totally covered the. It's grown. It's based out all over that frag plug there too, around the edges and whatnot.
Wow,
it is
really
an
nice.
entirely different coral before and after using this.
Fantastic job, Michael.
All right, what's the next one? All right, so this one was interesting too, man. And so you got to remember, all these pictures aren't perfect. These aren't pro-level pictures, so they're going to vary a little bit. But it's just the same thing. It's richer color. See that burnt tip around the edge of the cap there?
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So the bottom is, by the way, the after. The top is the before. Yeah. Right. And you can just see the fluorescence of these corals are just way higher.
You can see that orange digitata kind of peeking out there. That looks the growth on it. The branch growth is expanding, and then that acro that's above it, some growth, and then the purple coral. Actually, it's kind of hard to make out because of the coralline, but the branch growth and color specifically. But yeah, those growth margins filled in with color, deeper color. Man, that's
Let's
really good.
Let's look at this next one.
Next one.
Same
Sherwin.
thing. All the polyps out.
And then purple tips that were once white and probably growth margins, but now those growth margins have color to them.
I mean, if you can see you're a little closer, we're a little far away. I mean, how the polyps are just out, and flowing in the water. Everybody's happy. Is there another one where we had that tank shot that was kind of like side by side? That one that had the brain and stuff in the bottom, in the sand? Did that one not make it in there? All right, so there's some other ones. You can actually go on the thread there and see them.
One more here.
Oh, is there one more?
Yeah,
oh,
Travis.
All right. I mean, okay, the growth on this one.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Color, he probably didn't have one of those lens caps on, but we're not looking at the color here. Here, it's a matter of growth for sure.
If you actually look close, again, on our little monitor here, it's hard to see, but you can see like the color is so much richer again. And it, you know, by the way, anybody who doesn't want to take photos like this anymore, buy one of those little ice cap things. And apparently the sale goes on Monday and not the day we did.
It starts Monday.
Yeah, so buy one of those things tomorrow. It's like 10% off, so it'll be awesome. But yeah, so if you saw all these results, this is the one thing that I got out of this the most. Dave, don't worry about the other one. So this is what I got out of it the most is that, like, if you have an awesome, super healthy system, I don't know, you probably just get like incremental results that you probably won't be able to see by dosing, because you're probably already providing great nutrition.
Right.
If you have a system that is nutrient deficient and it's showing it with signs of the stuff that you saw in any of these things, boom, this is the sweet spot for this.
Yeah,
right?
I wish I would have known about this back when. So I had my 125 marine land tank, and at the time I was a new reefer. You know, I'm probably less than a year in, and all that was beating in my head at the time was kill phosphates, kill nitrates, because it's going to be algae, and so now I'm attacking it, you know, specifically with like heavy GFO and super low feeding. And what I ended up with was a tank that, sure, it had corals in it, and they were alive but not thriving, but all of them were pale. And I just couldn't figure out, like, why are my corals not coloring up? And had I known about some CoralAmino acids and I dosed it, I'm sure that problem would have been solved.
All right, so for those of you who don't know, today's deal, we missed today's deals. Oh, we're gonna hit the deals right now. I'm sorry, but we missed over, we're leaving you hanging on what's actually on sale today. So we're gonna start with this one, actually.
Yeah, since we're talking about it.
So the CoralAmino guy right here is going to, if you buy today, or I guess as supplies last. So I think we have like 400 of these guys. The ReefBlizzard. If you pick up any size CoralAmino today, you get a free ReefBlizzard.
And the CoralAmino's on sale too, so it's not like you're paying the full price for the CoralAmino stuff.
Yeah, 15% off CoralAmino, and you get the ReefBlizzard as well. So thanks to the guys at Brightwell that hooked us up that way.
I did see a question. What is the ReefBlizzard?
Oh, okay. So ReefBlizzard, I would say, is very similar. I don't know if you can see here. I don't know, but it's kind of powdery. It's very, very similar to like a reef chili. So let me see if I can see the ingredients here. Ingredients: proprietary blend of biopigment, marine-rich zooplankton, proteins, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals. All right, so it's like a powdered particulate food. So, you know, things that the polyps are going to capture. All right, there we go. You can kind of see it maybe. So anyway, it is going to be like a reef chili, and you get it for free if you pick up the amino acids. Only while they're last, though. There's like 400 of them, will probably be gone today. So that's deal number one, and then I'll let you hit deal number two.
Deal number two that we're talking about. Well, let me take a cheat sheet look here. These are my favorite ones. The Nuvo the Innovative Marine Nuvo Fusion bundles, and this is the 40 gallons all the way down to like your 10-gallon Nuvo. And Dave's got the thing up here, but we're showing the 20-gallon right here, and it's 20-gallon Peninsulas, 20-gallon Nuvos, the 40. My favorite tank, so since I've been here in the office, was the Nuvo 40. A lot of room, single light. That's all you need to really light this thing, and cheap too. I think the 40 Nuvo was $4.99, now $4.25. So save yourself $75 on that guy. But it's the bundle kit. So that means you get a DC controllable return pump, you get filter socks. You get a filter sock, you get a media basket, and screen top with it also. And then it comes with this little Aqua Gadget glass cleaner. So a magnetic little glass cleaner, and it's pretty low profile too. It's really cool.
Not free, but like for a nice looking tank that goes pretty much anywhere, all in one, so it's clean looking. Not inexpensive, and $75 off.
I think solid first tank, especially the Nuvo 40. My favorite tank for an all-in-one up until when I got here is my first time getting one was that Nuvo 40, because I had a Kessel 360 light on it and that one single light. I put a couple MP10s on the side of this thing, but I could put I didn't have a skimmer, because that's what so for me personally, if I have 40 gallons and below, I'm not gonna put like skimmers and gadgets on it, I'm just going to do like a 50% water change, which is 4 buckets. So my favorite starter tank.
So for those of you who just watched the 5-minute guide to starting up a new tank, we did a like essentially a 40-gallon E170.
Yeah.
This is a good alternative to that, the 40-gallon size.
Yeah.
It is definitely a little less expensive. You know, it doesn't have the same exact level of polish, but if you want like all those advantages in a like much less expensive form factor, there it is, and it's on sale.
Sweet.
All right, so give your tips on whatever all-in-ones you like as well. You know, share your experiences with the people out there because they're all wondering right now which one I should get, right?
True.
And there's our opinion, but more valuable even than that is all of your guys' opinion. You've used them, you know, friends that have used them. Share with everybody else.
Yeah.
Another one is the Orpheks. So the Orphek here is was 770 and now 616. There's also a Doorbuster version of the much larger size, right? And so one of the cool things about the Orphek, if you watched any of our videos, is how big the light actually is.
Yeah,
right?
One of the only style panel style lights that we have out there.
I know a guy who just installed a 20-foot long SPS tank, right? And it was all these guys. So, and part of the reason is, if, I'm gonna see if I can rephrase this right.
Okay.
If it isn't T5s, it should behave like T5s,
that's true. Yeah,
right?
you said that a lot.
Yeah, so a little teeny light this big, little puck, not the same thing. This guy is gonna coat the tank in the same way the T5s would, and that's why it's so popular. And so, like, the compact is pretty big, but the regular V4 size is much bigger.
It's long. And in our we have a BRCV Investigates where we tested the long version, the big full-size Orphek. And what we found is even on our 4-foot test tank, a single one of those larger panels, if you're looking for like an LPS and softy type tank, one single panel on a 4-foot tank, if you raise it high enough, will get that job done.
Yeah, so if you kind of like modules, you know, it sounds expensive. But if you think one of these is going to cover the whole tank for my LPS or softy or whatever tank, it's actually cheaper than most of the other options by a significant margin. And then when I'm ready and I want to go like either like mixed tank or I want to go to like a full-on SPS tank, 2 of them now is like amongst the most ideal solutions for an LED only option for your tank. And I'll be honest, man, you see it a lot in really high-end builds. Yeah. So it's super like attractive looking, you know, from a form factor. It's super thin and like, you know, looks really nice on the top of the tank. And you can barely see it. And so the other part of it is it just does such a good job of coating the tank in light. So a lot of really high-end options end up using that guy.
Well, and I'm less with the Orphek too. What I noticed when we were testing it too is I'm less worried about mounting it up higher to get the spread because of the acrylic bottom on here seems to dissipate that light shining directly in your eye. So it's not like a single puck where if I get underneath of it and I'm out, you know, 3, 4, 5 feet, that thing is right in my eye. That acrylic bottom on this one really keeps that focus down on the tank.
So that's one of the things out there actually is a lot of lights are telling you to like get this thing, like, your light's like 6 to 8 inches or whatever off the top of the light. And LEDs actually don't perform that well. And you watch all the pros, like all the pros out there and all of the people that do this for a living, those LED lights are a foot to like sometimes as much as 2 feet off the top of the tank to get the best spectrum blending and dispersion and reduction of shadows. This guy tells you that right off the top, man. They tell you to mount it high right off the top in his lens and structure design. And my first worry is like when I'm from a sitting position, am I gonna like get blinded? You know? Because a lot of them do that. A lot of the lights out there, when you mount them high, shoot you in the eye and it's unattractive from a sitting position. Okay, this guy does not do that. There's this acrylic sheet here that actually catches it and redirects it back into the tank. Right, and so it doesn't come out and hit your eye. I mean, there'll always be some residual spill, but like not like you'd think, man. And so it was actually really, really cool. So I don't know, those are on sale. And anybody's got any tips on them you want to share or questions? Feel free. And then the next one.
Well, there's so this guy, and it's today only, and this is citric acid. So a lot of people, I have always cleaned with vinegar. for the longest time. And just this vinegar smell, and it's buying vinegar is pretty cheap, but you can actually mix up some citric acid, do the same job, if not more effective at some of the hard calcareous stuff when you're cleaning your equipment. And today, if you buy 2, you get 1 free. There's any size. The only thing is just make sure you put 3 of the same size in your cart. One of those is going to be free.
Yeah, so it's super cheap and really easy to use, and you just mix up some citric acid with some water and put your equipment in there, and it cleans it off. And I'd say better than the vinegar did, at least for me anyway. So there you go. And then let's see, what else do we have? Do we have any other ones other than, all right, I think we're going right up to the KZ. So right at the minute, it's Amino Day. Right?
It is
so
Amino Day.
like we shared a lot of stuff on Amino. So I just wanted to share my own experience with the LPS ones. And so I gotta be honest, man, like as I started this hobby, there were so many, I'm just gonna call it what it is, snake oils in the hobby, man, like things that have magical elixirs and stuff on them. And so unless you can like prove it definitively, you know, XYZ in every possible way and every authority figure agrees, then it can't be doing anything, which is like a ridiculous standard to me, right? And so like when we did the BRS 160 and we were doing the Zeovit system, part of that thing is you're taking all the nutrients out, so you need to add them back. And as we learn more and more over the years, it makes way more sense, right?
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was just kind of adding magical elixirs to the thing, you know, but no, what I was doing is I was taking all the nutrients out, heavy export, heavy import, right? And so this is part of heavy import, is we were dosing the little blue bottles every day. So we have the CoralAmino acid concentrate, which is like for a lot of SPS corals and whatnot. And then we have the power amino acid LPS, you know, and so we were dosing those every day. And I always felt like, hey man, it's doing something. And I feel like way better now. You know, you see the results and like, well, of course it was, you know? And, you know, like that cynic in me, man, it just kind of faded away. I got to accept the fact that the universe isn't out to get me. And so these are cool, man. And so we were using these on then. So you saw all the progress on those tanks, and we were using these types of amino acids for that, combined with all the nutrient extract.
And then they have it in these forms, which is really cool. And I haven't personally tried these yet, but I think I've seen some people out there use them. They're really, it's the same amino acids that are in the you can get the LPS version, the amino acid, but these are little tabs, and they're dissolving tabs, and you drop them in your tank, and I think it's like change every 30 days, drop another one or change them out, but it's a little tab that dissolves and just constantly feeds amino acids into your tank.
Yeah, so this guy right here is, there's only a handful of these left, so if you're interested, I'd go pick them up. But I will tell you that they're kind of cool, because they're like a little tab, like you said, that just automatically doses it. They don't like dissolve or anything, they just release it. And so it's a little tab, and they tell you how many of them to use for your tank, and you just put the little tabs in an area of the tank and you're good. So, you know, super, super easy way to dose this kind of thing. You know, a lot of people don't want to dose every single day or whatnot, so this is a cool option.
An ideal choice for me when I don't, I'm not one to do something, spend the 5-10 minutes on my tank every day, like with the Zeovit system and dosing the stuff. So on a small tank like this little Nuvo, drop one of those in every once in a while.
So the question is, and this is just going to be an opinion. The question is like, which one's best? You know, like should I dose it every day or these little tabs? And I will say a controlled dose every day is probably best, right? But if you're just not going to do that, then the tabs are best than not, right? So I don't know, that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
All right, I think we covered all the Doorbusters today. Again, we got like 15% off of the site. All of Brightwell is 15% off. All of the BRS stuff is 15% off. There are like all kinds of different brands out there.
And then we got the free gift, or the free swag item today. And every day we're featuring a new BRS free swag item. And this one is the BRS beanie hat. I've got a couple of them. I've been using them every winter, and especially now, it's getting colder. But free on orders over $250 today. So if you have an order going to at $250 or above $250, drop the beanie in your cart, and that thing is free while they last.
All right, let's get to those tips. Thank you. Dave's been loading them for us, so hit us up.
All right, we got some tips, and this is to get you in the running for all the tables Doorbusters today. And continue to bring those tips on. Here we go. Terrence Henderson says, follow directions on the amino acid bottle. It works wonders.
There you go. That's actually a great tip. Follow the directions. More is not better. No, it's just super hard not to want to do this, but
if you see the results and you're like, oh, let me just dump more in there.
Okay, so what is one of the things here that I've really picked up more than like my hot tip of 2019 is give things time to work, right? And so in the past, you know, we're all impatient, especially if nobody explains it properly.
Yeah.
And like, well, I dosed it 3 times and then like, you know, the magic coral fairy didn't show up. No, like you know, think about it if yourself. You know, if I'm going to decide I'm going to be healthy and I'm going to enter proper nutrition into my world, it's going to take 2 months for it to really show up in like the health of my body, right? Same thing with the coral. So, you know, if you're going to do this, you know, do it for the long haul and, you know, watch it, you know, evolve, follow the directions. More is not necessarily better. Follow the directions and then watch the results materialize in front of you. And then, you know, once you become a pro using it, you can start deciding, well, could I use a little bit more, a little bit less? But only after you've experienced the results that are associated with the instructions in the bottle. So, like, more is not better. It's not horsepower. The right amount is better. Start there.
Solid tip, Terrence. Tony says stability is key. It's kind of feeding on what you were saying. So whatever you do, keep the parameters stable as possible. If you dose something, maintain the dose long term and give it a chance to do what it's designed to do. Absolutely reiterating what you said.
Okay, so that's another thing, man. So now I start dosing to my tank the stuff and I'm providing proper nutrition to the coral. The corals now are twice as big, twice as much tissue. Yeah, that's the point where maybe I want to dose some more actually because I got more active tissue growing in here. But if I stop, I might actually have twice the problem that I had before, right? Okay. Because like I've now, you know, like created these fluctuations in nutrients. I got a bigger biomass, and the nutrients I was adding in the tank before didn't actually support the biomass I had before. Now it's twice as big, double bad. Yeah. So yeah, be stable about it and try to think about like really pay attention to what you're doing with the tank because it does matter.
Robert Cray says mix ReefBlizzard thick as paste to target feed your corals. So he's turning it into a paste and giving it directly to like probably those LPS or things that kind of capture prey or have that feeding response. Looks like he's found some success there.
I know with Reef Chili we like to take it and put it into a little spray bottle and spray it kind of around, turn the pumps off and spray around the corals. One of the things that I've done is clip the tip off of a Reef Chili bottle and then put an acrylic tube on there so I can suck it up into the bottle and then spray it without getting my hands wet. Like, cause one of those things is target feeding and putting your hand in there, that's crazy. Yeah. But if I can just squirt it through a little, you know, 1/4-inch acrylic tube that we do offer, by the way, if you want one, a couple bucks. Yeah. I only say it because I don't know where else you'd get it. And you can spray it, you know, onto the corals directly. I like, instead of like trying to blast and cover it, I like try to like get it into a flow pattern that it kind of goes around it, right? Okay. And if you can, you know, when you're target feeding corals too, if you can do something like, you know, get the amino acid into the water first, a handful of minutes first, you start to see the polyps come out.
Initiate that feed response.
Feed response, and then send the food in, right? So just for those of you who know, a lot of the corals actually don't have polyps out during the day. They come out at night when the plankton and stuff comes out in the wild. In our tanks, though, they often send the polyps out because we've trained them to do that, that's when food is available. Okay. Right? So in the wild, food's generally available at night. In our tanks, because we're awake during the day, the food comes out during the day. I mean, the coral kind of trains itself to come out during that period of time. So, yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Let's see, West. It says add the random flow nozzle to the all-in-one Nuvo tanks. Actually, yeah, that's a really good tip because I had that on the Nuvo 40 that I had when I first got here, and it's just a rotating type of thing, and it just works off of the flow coming from the return pump. But rather than the nozzles on here where you can direct them and it's just constant that one direction, these just kind of mix it up a little bit. It's pretty cool.
So I had those like I don't know if they even sell them anymore, but I had the high door like rotating deflector on my Maxi Jets in the beginning. And I'll be honest, like back then I like got frustrated with them, like, oh, they only last like 6 months or something. Yeah. And that was shame on me. You know what? If you maintained them and you cleaned them every like 3 months with like something like this, then they last like forever. And like just the mentality I think some of us have, including myself, of like, well, I should just last forever even if I don't maintain it. is absolutely ridiculous, right? And then like you even say it out loud like that again, you're like, oh, of course. So yeah, so those little rotating deflectors are cool, but you know, they have like moving parts, there's salt creep and all kinds of stuff in saltwater and gunk, and you know, so they do need to be cleaned to work, but yeah, cool.
Awesome. Dakota Hall says, use citric acid to clean your power heads and return pumps, skimmer pumps, also any used tanks and other equipment. It works wonders, and it absolutely does. So what a 5% solution is what we typically make around here, and there's mixing instructions on all the citric acid sizes, but you know, you make I usually will whip up a 5-gallon bucket, turn into a 5% citric acid solution, and then just kind of drop my equipment in there, maybe a couple hours depending on how heavy the buildup is, and since the last time I cleaned it, but running the power head in the citric acid bucket or the skimmer or the pump, just kind of letting it work its wonders, and then taking a brush, rinsing it with RODI water, put it back in.
Yeah, so like I do the same thing. So plug it in.
Yeah.
If it's a power head or a pump or something, plug it in and it will just like wop it or clean itself, you know, wash it all away. And so specifically really cool on pumps like a gyre or whatnot, is like 8 million parts to come apart. I can just throw that guy down in there, throw the citric acid in there, and you know, I can even leave it like plugged into my tank if I like, you know, put the bucket on a chair or something, and it'll just like, you know, in an hour come out clean. You know, or at least just like wipe right off, you know, instead of just crusty. Now, it's best to take pumps like that apart, you know, and get them all 100%. But what if I did this like as monthly, just like while I did my water change, I let it do that and, you know, cleaned it out, and then like quarterly did the full deep down clean, right? It's, you know, it's probably a good trade-off. So yeah, if you just throw the pumps in the bucket with the stuff, it's super awesome and easy.
Sweet. Let's see here. Andrew Boren says, adjust the dose of the CoralAmino depending on the stock of the corals in your tanks. The directions usually assume the whole tank is full of corals. So start with a smaller dose with maybe just a handful of little corals if that's what you're going to do. And like you said, up your game as the corals grow.
Yeah, so like same thing here. Like think about it, like they can't tell you what's in your tank in this bottle, right? And so if you got 2 little frags of frog spawn in the corner and that's it, don't dose the full dose. If you have a tank that's just wall-to-wall coral, probably dose more than full dose because you already know it. Think biomass. You know.
Well, even doing something like what we did with the DIY reef chili is when you add that stuff to the dry ingredients of your DIY food, and you pour the CoralAminos in there, and you give it a chance all those dry ingredients to soak up CoralAminos rather than just water. Now it's a part of your regular food that you feed every day to your fish.
Yeah, they actually have what's the CoralAmino or the amino that they sell?
Amino Omega.
Amino Omega is designed specifically for that purpose. So take your dry food and put the Amino Omega right in there, let it soak it up. The food is now way more nutritious than it was a second ago, right? And way more protein. And again, there's a lot of different things you're trying to feed your fish, but protein for building tissue and fat for energy are the big things.
Cool. Rick says, tip on the lights, copy a reefer's lighting schedule that you know works, only listen to others if they can show you their successful reef.
I'm so happy to keep hearing that come out of people's mouths, man. Bravo, Rick. And so, like, it is not turn it on and just change it to what it looks like. And I'm not going to harp on this forever because I've done it a million times. But yeah, man, find out somebody. Like, you know, do a thread, you know, either on Facebook or on like Reef to Reef. Successful, you know, Orphek users, you know, right? And then ask for their schedule. Take the picture of the guy they're like, I want that, right? and that's the kind of coral. So just if they have wall-to-wall SPS and you're going to do frog spawn, you know, Euphilia and whatnot, like that's a bad move. Like find a tank that looks like yours, emulate theirs, and that's your starting point, right? You can perfect it and do even better than you know, Jerry or whatnot, but like start there and you'll at least be able to do that.
Follow the pioneers.
Yeah. So yeah, bravo, man. It really. Advice without pictures of what I've done and my success, and like, I'll be honest, man, if you can't provide pictures, because all of us have a phone, and the thing that we're actually talking on is often a phone, I don't know. There's no real excuse, to be honest, man. You should be able, and in fact, I'd love it if you had like little libraries attached to your account. Like, these are the things I've done, whatever. And people are like, oh, I want to listen to that dude.
Yeah, it's
that dude definitely knows what he's doing.
Like your playbook card. And then what does Greg Carroll say all the time? You took it from Greg Carroll. Be wary of the person or that offers advice but can't show you their success or something along those lines.
Every time.
We butcher it every
same
time.
Same thing. Yeah, right on.
Same concept. All right, Colton asks a question. He just wants to know if you can use citric acid to clean the crud off the heater.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly what it's for.
Yeah, so really it cleans off, like precipitate is the big thing, right? Because the acid will break down the calcium carbonate. But really, it also like loosens up all the algae and all the stuff, man. So it's precisely for that purpose.
Yep.
Right?
Svet says, tip on the Nuvo, install a tiny power head in the return section to keep the crud suspended and off the bottom. So this pump does go into in this specific one, it goes in the center here, and he's saying just throw a little power head in there and keep that stuff churned up.
So I'm going to say that actually, that's a really cool idea, actually. You know, for a cheap, inexpensive way to keep it suspended and let the filtration get it out. But recently, I've been doing some bare bottoms here too, and this is what I'll say: is I would never run a bare bottom that doesn't have power head shooting right across the bottom because it just gets dirty, man, right? And it's the same thing back here. It's just going to collect all that stuff, right?
True.
And so you can manually get it out, or you just keep it suspended for the filter socks and stuff to get it out. And so, like if you can shoot it, because we have a few tanks here where you can't, like the 160 here, which someday we're going to do an episode on why I would never ever take sand out of a tank. That was a total failure. I like the bare bottoms that you start bare bottom. No, if you have some caveats, going into it. But in that one, it's really hard to actually get flow directly across the bottom, and because of that, there's lots of garbage that piles up in various areas of the tank. You really kind of got to do that from the beginning. Same thing here.
Well, same thing. And if that's not an option, if you're not going to put a power head in here, what I'd recommend is some of those water changers, the Pythons or what have you, have a smaller diameter tube, and then you can, when you go to do your maintenance, you can actually target the piles of detritus or buildup in the bottom and get them out of the tank. So
what you could also do is blow it all up. Use any old pump temporarily, blow it all up, and then siphon the water out of there for your water change, and you'll get it all out.
Oh yeah,
so, but like if you just want to keep it all the time suspended, that's a great idea.
Great tip.
Next one.
Big Fun for Us says frequent agitation is needed when cleaning non-mechanical equipment with citric acid. So in the case of like the heater, putting in a 5-gallon bucket, it's probably it's going to work eventually, but maybe throwing a power head in there while you're cleaning the heater might help to loosen up and break some of that stuff off.
So the way you should think about it is it's an acid, right? And if I have no flow, the calcium carbonate is going to neutralize the acid right around it, and eventually it'll exchange and whatever. But not like if you had some flow. So if you add any old pump to the thing just to get it moving, it doesn't have to be like almost nothing, just to get it moving, so it doesn't create a stagnant, higher pH like ring around the heater or whatnot. So you're right. So you got to stir it up occasionally, or throw like the cheapest pump you can possibly find to just keep it moving a little bit.
DIY Home Theater Guy says, have a spare power head to use while cleaning the heads, and then you can rotate them while cleaning. So big case in point that we've always talked about is the Vortec pumps with the extra wet side. And just like he's saying here, if I have an extra wet side that's always clean, and when it comes time to clean out my other one, pull out the dirty one, put in the new one, drop the old one in citric acid, and I'm ready until the next time. Clean it off and good to go.
So I'll be honest, man. I got some of you following this tank that's I'm building at my house.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about flow a whole bunch of ways, and I'm trying to think of some unique things that I could do. But at the end of the day, like the promise of just pulling these things out to clean them and swap them in, how do you beat that?
Oh, it's gonna save you time, tons of time.
Well, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Is the thing, right? I will do that function, swap those things out, put the ones that have been soaking in there, and Am I going to disassemble pumps every couple of months? Yeah, man, but less so, and like the corals and stuff. And like it's a peninsula in my case specifically, so if the pumps slow down, it's gonna really matter.
On
because
that far end of the tank.
Yeah, I'm trying not to put any pumps on the outside of or long side of it, and we'll see how that works out. You'll get to experience it with me, but like, I'm gonna try really hard to have no visible pumps or cords going along the peninsula. And so, like, there's a lot of pumps that, like, you know, deteriorate, or even after a month, they're like 50% speed.
Yeah.
I just can't have that in this case.
Yeah, if you use the Apex and you use the power monitoring on the outlets, and you see, like, you have a pump, plug it in, you monitor the power, and then over time, like, and within 2-3, a month, as these things get covered in coralline.
Sometimes weeks.
And we grow coralline like crazy around here for some reason. But yeah, even within weeks, there's a power draw difference. Visibly, the pumps are dirty, but sometimes visibly sometimes we don't know what effect that has. But you can absolutely tell in power draw.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, you would think that as it got dirtier and it was harder to spin, that it would consume more power. They actually spin slower, and the net result is it consumes less power, right? So I don't think it works like with Vortex or whatnot because that's magnetically coupled, but like for gyres, it might though. I haven't tested it. But yeah, for your gyres and your Toonses and all those things, like if you watch it go from 18 watts to 9, you can pretty much assume you got 50% less flow.
Yeah.
And then when you clean it, you'll instantly see it go back up to 18.
Yeah.
Right. So your phone can actually be, you know, like the little power monitoring on the Apex can like literally tell you time to clean your pumps. Yeah. You know, if you want optimal performance that you paid for, or you can just buy twice the pump you need and then never clean it, but it's probably going to be really expensive and they're going to burn out faster, which makes it double expensive. So get the one that actually fits and then properly maintain it.
Yep, solid. Andrew Lay says, I like this one too because we use it here. Use the citric acid with a power head to clean your saltwater mixing containers a few times a year to keep the containers clean. We have big giant ones, 150 gallons. We have a 300-gallon one. And depending on the salt you use, like when we were using, before we were using some pharmaceutical grade stuff that doesn't really have the tendency to build up and have this, there would be sheets of carbonate buildup and sheets of insoluble material buildup inside of these big giant containers, and that's where you hire a little guy like me to go inside of them to try to scrub them out and clean them. But I think like once every couple months, Josh fills up the container with RODI water, runs some citric acid in there, and just recirculates it. It breaks up all of that stuff, and then rinse it out, and good to go for the next couple months.
That's specifically true if you like to make a lot of water. You're going to use 2 months worth of water, and even more true if you use a high element salt. Like so, for a while here, we were using Coral Pro from Red Sea, which has like a 12 DKH. And man, we were cleaning that. I mean, it was so dirty. Yeah. But this is a 300-gallon thing, right? Yeah. So like, it's 2 buckets that are going in there, and we're doing it. You could probably go through that thing maybe every week or two. Yeah, probably just a week actually here. So, and we got them all over the place. So it is a chore, but if you crawl in there and scrub, it sucks. You can actually just fill it up, like you said, and put this stuff in here. And in that case, a big old tub might take a lot of this. But would I rather use $5 of citric acid or spend 2 hours scrubbing? My time's worth more than $2.50 an hour. So I'd much rather do it the easy way. There you go. Yeah. You can also, pick up a salt that doesn't do that as well, but they're significantly more expensive. But you just don't ever have to clean it if you like to use the pharmaceutical salt like Tropical Marin.
Greg says, just because your light can be cranked up to 11 doesn't mean you have to.
11. What's that movie?
It's Beyond 10. Crank it up to 11?
Yeah, there's a movie for that.
Isn't there a song too? You're going to have to help us with the reference, Greg.
Spinal Tap.
There you go.
Why is it going to 11?
Yeah.
Because it's better than 10. Something like that.
Yeah, so you don't have to crank it up 100%. And that's and the thing that we learned, probably the last couple of years in testing lights and all of this is use a par meter.
So most of you don't know, because I'm betting that 80% of you have been doing this for 7 years or less, and came into a world where LEDs were like the
thing,
right? So prior to that was all halides and T5s.
Plug and play?
Yeah, and I never heard anybody. Nobody was failing because of their lights.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a thing, right? Like everybody's like, so you want LPS? Here's 4 lamps. You know, it really doesn't matter that much. You could get a little bit better with one or the other, but like you're not gonna be your problem. If you want to go all SPS, here's 6 lamps. You really want to push the limit, 8, right?
Yeah.
That was it. That was the end of the conversation, right?
all you need.
And like it was really easy to convey.
Yeah.
You know, and so now though, like when nobody knew and nobody was willing to brave and like tell everybody how to actually do it because they're afraid of being wrong. And to be honest too, man, some of the super pros also like to hoard their knowledge, you know, to make them special and cool. You know, I think we've all been guilty of that at some point in time. But like now, you know, we have par meters and tools and stuff. But the reality is like you go and buy an $800 light, right? And then you're going to turn it down to 40%.
Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow, isn't it?
That seems crazy. You know, like, so
It's like buying your really expensive car and only driving at 60 miles an hour, your really fast, high-performance car.
yeah, it absolutely seems crazy to do it that way. And, you know, part of it was just par wars, you know? Like, so whenever I was getting into LEDs, like, you know, all of a sudden, man, we're trying desperately to, like, you know, match the sun and stuff. And, like, you know, you learn something, like, back then it was like match the sun at, like, peak day. Right?
Yeah.
Now we learned, you know, through like Dana Riddle's articles, like the corals tend to like actually be most efficient in the morning and evening, and during the day they're actually slowing photosynthesis and protecting themselves. So yeah, worse actually, bad idea. And also they have tons of flow and stuff in there that we don't have in our tanks. It's random and it's getting rid of the oxygen. There's all kinds of things in nature that protect themselves from that we don't have in here. So that's a great one. Just because it's 11, you might actually be 3 is the best. And especially if you're buying those high power LEDs, in many cases, the half power ones, but 2 of them spread out over a better area is actually better. Yeah, so it may cost the same, but you get better performance by spreading them out.
Yeah. Steve has a pretty good tip here on, I'm guessing on the return pumps for these little innovative marine tanks or all-in-ones. And he says, maybe it wasn't Steve, I saw somebody else. It was on there somewhere. Anyway, the tip was to put some silicone underneath the pump. So silicone mats, drying mats from the, you know, from the Bed Bath & Beyond or from the kitchen store or what have you. We have some silicone mats on the website. Well, but cut a chunk of it to fit the bottom of the pump, put it down in the bottom, and vibration gone. DC pump is this is a DC pump, so DC inherently quieter.
Very much quieter. One of the things I've done in the past is actually take that silicone mat and wrap it around, put a zip tie. It's not the prettiest thing because sometimes it vibrates in the bottom, sometimes it's hitting the sides, you know, too. So anywhere that you can just isolate the vibration so it's not touching anything is a good one. Yeah. Also, so like, I wouldn't call this a pro tip because a lot of people know this already, but like silicone between here and your hard or even rigid plumbing, like even like braided nylon or whatever, if you put a little piece of silicone in between, it like isolates the plumbing from this, and so you don't see any of that vibration traveling up, vibrating on everything. So silicone's a great way to reduce
dampen the
sound in a variety of areas. Great tip.
Jason says, don't neglect cleaning the all-in-one compartments during the water changes. And yeah, exactly what we were talking about in a tip we heard before. You can keep the particles suspended, the detritus suspended by putting a little pump back here. Or, like Ryan was saying, mix it all up and then use these back chambers as your water change place. So suck out as much water as you can during your water change. If it's not your full, 10%, 20%, bring the rest of it out of the display. But why not just focus here where a lot of that stuff builds up?
Hey, just for reference, we're going to hit it on the end, so I won't harp on it now. If you just joined us later, we're giving away 10 trips to Reef-A-Palooza. We're giving away $10,000 worth of orders and everything on the table here. If you give us some tips, we'll give you a rundown at the very end. But I just want a reminder for everybody out there. So let's get a handful more.
Okay. We've got Robert who says, I'm late to the party, so tip, be generous when using citric acid.
I don't know like the max amount you could use, but I in the past have violated the rules where more is better.
Yeah, I probably have.
As well.
And maybe I'm just wasting my money at that point, but I think 5% is what Zach has taught me to use. 5% is a good...
Start with the instructions and see what it takes.
Speaking of, and I skipped over Steve, so I'm going to hit him now. He says, clean equipment will last longer.
End of story.
And done. I mean, it's just like your car. If you expect it to last you 200, 300,000 miles and you never change the oil or maintain it, you're in for a horrible awakening.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a hot tip too, related to used stuff, right?
Okay.
And so I don't know if any of you guys have bought used, but I've bought used systems in the past, and I'm gonna give you this, this is like a way, first off, to save like 70% on whatever you want, because used stuff holds like almost no value in this industry, but there's a really good reason, and it's because usually equipment that's been submerged in salt water stays just fine. Once it leaves salt water and is exposed to the air and it's still got little salt crystals on it, that's when it just deteriorates rapidly, right? And so if you ever go out there and buy used, this is the tip. Clean is synonymous with well cared for, is synonymous with high value. So if the system you're looking at looks like somebody took it down and just left it, expect everything with a plug to fail you, either out of the box, you bring it home and it sucks, and you have to replace all of it, or it'll fail you in a matter of months. So like, if it looks like they just drained it and unplugged it, the only value really is anything that doesn't have a plug on it, right? And so if, however, they meticulously cleaned it and got all of the salt water and everything off of the equipment, I'd say super high value, and that is what I'd look for. Yeah, like you can see it in the pictures. You don't even have to go to the person's house, and they're on like their Facebook groups or whatever, or Marketplace or Craigslist or whatnot. You can see in the picture like whether or not this thing was put away wet or whether or not it was meticulously cleaned. You don't even have to go to the house. Right. And like the care, man. Again, clean is synonymous with well cared for. So in your own house, same thing. And like I will tell you, almost everybody, like you get disappointed when things fail early. And if you ask your question, did I maintain it properly? Well, no, but I still think it should. Well, yeah, maybe, but also no.
There is a part that you have to play to keep this stuff working for a long time.
Dude, salt water is one of the most corrosive environments possible. It is full of organics. It's full of everything. This is a very, very hard environment for equipment to survive in, and so like. You definitely need to clean it. The best stuff will last the longest, but even the best stuff you made a big investment in, so you want to clean that too. So there you go.
Solid.
Great tip.
Let's see. Michael Bryan says store the citric acid in a dry place. It does clump up because it's sort of a desiccant, so you could get clumps in it. Still usable, still viable, no issues, just like salt. But
so salt absorbs water from the air.
Yeah.
So it isn't going to like deplete it or anything. It just will be chunky.
Just be chunky. So yeah, you can break it up, or like Michael says, store it in a dry place.
All right, see if we got a couple, find a couple of the Orphek or the amino acid tips.
There's one.
We got another 15 minutes or so here.
Well, somebody was asking, there's a couple questions in here, and that's are people turning skimmers off while dosing the amino acids?
Yeah, so I'd say do that if it's reasonable, right? And so if it's reasonable for you to do so, go ahead. But if you're like gonna unplug it and have to remember to come back to plug it in, I would say for myself, I would just dose a little bit more than I was supposed to and account for the fact the skimmer is gonna pull some of it out, right? And so like, if you have an Apex or whatever, you can like hit the feed button or hit the feed button on your phone really easy and just turn it off and it'll automatically turn back on in a half hour. I would say then absolutely. I mean, if you make it that easy, then why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
But outside of that, that's a lot of work to unplug stuff.
Well, that kind of feeds into Brett's tip here. He says put CoralAmino on a doser. Easy to do, create daily consistency for your tank.
Yeah, so that's what we did it on the 160. Eventually,
we had the LPS on the doser.
One of the cool things of these caps is if you get the Murloc bulkhead, you can drill like a hole with a stepper bit, and you can install the bulkhead right in the top and screw it right on. We put a little fitting in the bottom, and it sucks right out of the tube, sucks it right out. So you can put. I would suggest I used an acrylic tube in the bottom of the Murloc, and the acrylic tube isn't really designed for that. So if you can get like little nicks in the rubber or sealant, I would actually just use a piece of tube. And then have the tube kind of come down to the bottom.
It does have a natural curve to it, but you can get it to go line up right on the bottom.
Edge.
And actually, you might even, some of these bottles have a dimple on the bottom, so you might actually get more by sending it to the corner.
Probably. So you can put it on dosers. The one thing I'll say is go through a sterilization event, or process. So go and take the tubes and put them in boiling water, or put them in some kind of disinfectant or something, you know, to get them so that they are sterile, because these are essentially food. If there's any bacteria or anything anywhere in there, you can actually like populate bacteria in the tubes over months.
I think that, what is it, for beer brewing, that sanitization stuff that you can mix up would be a good idea for that.
That'd be a great idea. If you just Google like sanitize or amino acid dosing tubes or whatever, you'll find some threads on how to do it. But yeah, just do yourself a favor and don't just assume that you're fine. Like, take the extra 10 minutes. You're gonna go through all the process of setting up dosers and whatever. Take the other 15 minutes and sterilize them, and you'll be happier.
Sweet. Let's take a look here. A lot of amino dosing stuff. So that's solid. Good tips. Go up from there. Increase your dosage. Start slow.
Okay, so our amino acids, Brett there. Our amino acids beneficial to all coral types, softies, LPS, SPS. So we saw in the photos there, you saw a lot of
LPS and SPS.
Well, yeah, so a lot of those types of things. We didn't get a chance to show you the effect on some of the like more fleshy corals, like the Aphelias and whatnot. We actually did have some photos of that. And so you can see like brains open up and swell up. You'll see the torches and stuff get bigger pretty fast, you know. And so they're building tissue. Oh, so when are the current Doorbusters ending? That's a good one.
When they run out. So most of the Doorbusters, so there's some Doorbusters, like today, the citric acid is only today, and that's buy two, get one.
Is it really only today?
Only today only.
Well, buy two, get one.
Buy two, get one, any size.
All right. Well.
And there's a couple of those deals that happen where it's a one-day only event, but for the most part, if it's on the Doorbusters page, then it is a Doorbuster until they run out.
So yeah, so one thing to note here is if it's on sale now, it's as cheap as it's going to get. So it isn't going to get like any miraculous better deal as the time goes on, so you're not worried out. If it isn't on sale at all, I'd say a majority are going to go on sale somewhere throughout the sale. So like full price means there's a good chance. There are some like super high-end map stuff that opted out for whatever crazy reason. That one like boggles the mind for me. But yeah, so you should know that. But most of the stuff will last you there. There are a couple of really super deals, and like this one here where you get the not only CoralAmino off 15% off, but you also get the ReefBlizzard. When the ReefBlizzard runs out, that deal's done.
Yeah,
you still get 15% off the CoralAmino, but. Yeah, I don't know. This is like one of those cool things. Like, if it's Black Friday, I want to get something, but like my wife's also spending all my money, or I'm buying something for her, cool, or whatever. But I want to do something cool for my tank. Dude, what is this? Like, $30, and it's for the big size, $30 for the little one. I think it's like 15. So, and it comes with one of these on any of those sizes. This is a really cool thing to pick up, try it out. You can see benefits in your tank almost certainly, and I did it for almost nothing. You know, so that's a great one to do.
Yeah, solid.
All right, so I think we're going to wrap it up right here. We're going to tell everybody, so here's the big deal.
Okay.
We got the tips here. So all of you guys have been giving your tips all day.
You're entered to win if you put a tip in. If you go back to yesterday's video or the day before and put your tip in today, you're entered to win.
Yeah, so we created a playlist of all of the days, so you can go back and click on them pretty easy. And, not just like entered to win, but like to me, these episodes have been really cool. Like I just fast forward the deal portion of it and just go straight to like listen to all of the tips that people are coming up, because you're learning so much.
You're doing the community a service just by throwing your tip in there. Whether or not you want to be entered to win all the Doorbuster stuff, just throwing tips in there, especially if you've used this equipment before and have experience with it, stuff that you wish you were told, you're doing the whole community a service, because a lot of people are picking this stuff up now or will and want to go get the best results for them off the bat.
Right on. So in that spirit, we'll just tell you, we'll have a link in just a second. It'll be right here for you to go see the whole playlist, and then you can learn hot tips about all of this stuff, all compiled together. Here's some of our thoughts on it as well. But just a compilation here. If you want to be one of the people like that's in my little folder here that has got their orders for free, there's $3,000 worth of them in here. It's going to be $10,000 by the end. All you need to do is be a preferred reefer. There's a link in the footer. There's like a I want rewards link in the header. On every product page is like I want rewards. All you gotta do is just create an account and hit the button I want to be a preferred reefer. It's done. And now you are entered either if you bought something or add anything to your cart. If you add a $5 item to your cart and you win $5, I'd be really disappointed.
Yeah, because we're refunding carts
up to $500.
Up to $500. So
Yeah.
put a lot of stuff in your shopping cart.
Get at least $500 up in there. Every time I pull a cart and it's not $500, like, oh no.
It's very sad.
Yeah, very sad. So yeah, so that's super easy. You could be one of the people that win $10,000 worth of stuff.
We announced that on Monday.
And you can be a rep or go to Reef-A-Palooza with a buddy, your wife, or your husband, I should say, actually,
or children.
too. Yeah. So or your children.
Yeah. Take your daughter, son to Reef-A-Palooza. Share the experience.
I had the coolest thing. So we go to these shows, and the coolest thing, I don't know if I shared this with you, but I got a picture of it, is out of nowhere, this like little girl, man, she was like, I don't know, she must have been 4 years old. She runs up and just starts hugging my leg. And I'm like, wow. Like a lot of people say hi and stuff to us and whatever. And the dad's like, I've never seen her do that to anybody. Like, that's so cool. The 4-year-old must be watching these videos, right? And I'm like, it was just heartbreaking. That was the coolest thing.
Solid.
So come to Reef-A-Palooza, come see us, go see 20,000 plus corals, pick out your best ones, do it for free. All you gotta do is be a preferred reefer, have something in your cart, or order something in the last 30 days, either one.
Yep.
And lastly, you already know about the tips, so be the tips. And so I'm gonna wrap it up, and you just go to the playlist. If you wanna learn more about all of this stuff, enter to win, hit the playlist right here, and we'll see you tomorrow.